Trump held back-to-back meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and announced he would present his Middle East peace plan tomorrow. Chinese authorities announced on Monday the first fatal victim of the new coronavirus in Beijing, while the death toll has risen to 106. Preliminary results of the Peruvian parliamentary elections revealed the fall of the Fujimori's Popular Force Party. From the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana, Cuba, this is From the South. I'm Katrina Goss. US President Donald Trump held back-to-back meetings with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and Israeli opposition leader Benny Gantz on Monday as he prepares to release his so-called Middle East peace plan, already rejected by Palestinian citizens and authorities. Trump hosted Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu before meeting with chairman of the Blue and White political coalition, Benny Gantz, Netanyahu's rival in the upcoming March election. The US president confirmed on Monday that he will release his Middle East peace plan tomorrow. No Palestinian leaders were invited to the White House, but Trump insisted that his Israeli-Palestinian peace plan has a chance. And Palestinian Prime Minister Mohammed Shtayyeh has urged international powers to boycott US President Donald Trump's peace plan, saying it was conceived to protect Trump from impeachment and protect Netanyahu from prison.
This is a plan to protect Trump from impeachment and protect Netanyahu from prison. It is not a Middle East peace plan, but rather a self-protection plan for its owners. It gives sovereignty to Israel over Palestinian land at a time when the International Criminal Court is discussing the issue of occupied Palestinian land. We call on the international community not to be partners in this, because it contravenes international law and the rights of the Palestinian people, which are not for sale. Our Arab nation is required more than ever before to become a protected shield, to protect Palestine from the great conspiracy and to protect the rights of its people.
And hundreds of Palestinians have protested in Gaza against the United States' so-called Middle East peace plan. The demonstrators, including activists from the Democratic Front for the Liberation of Palestine, gathered outside the United Nations office and burned an effigy of Donald Trump, as well as US and Israeli flags. They called for the United Nations to intervene to stop US attacks on the national rights of the Palestinian people. The protest came after Trump announced that he would release his peace plan in a few days.
If Trump announced the deal of the century, he will place the whole region on the top of a volcano. Therefore, the United States and Israel will bear full responsibility for the revolution of the Palestinian people in the face of the deal of the century to knock it down.
And Syrian forces this Monday were ready to enter Marat al-Numan, a town of symbolic and strategic importance located in the last opposition-controlled area in the country, deserted after months of bombardment. Marat al-Numan is the second largest city in Idlib province in northwestern Syria. Taking control of the city will enable the Syrian army to secure the Hama-Aleppo road as part of an agreement reached in the Russian city of Sochi in 2018 that aims to secure the official highway to Aleppo, which extends all the way south to the capital, Damascus. A 2019 UN report highlighted that Marat al-Numan and its surrounding areas are practically desolate, while thousands of families remain stranded in the area seeking shelter from the bombings. And the spokesman for the US forces in Afghanistan, Colonel Sonny Leggett, confirmed this Monday the loss of a US military plane in this country, but ruled out that the aircraft was shot down. The plane crashed this afternoon in Dayak district, eastern Afghanistan, around 80 miles southwest of the capital of Kabul. Earlier on Monday, footage of charred remains of a crashed aircraft emerged online. Colonel Leggett tweeted that a US Bombardier E-11A had crashed today, noting that while the cause of crash was under investigation, there were no indications it was caused by enemy fire. Previously, the Taliban announced that they had shot down a US military plane in the Afghan province of Ghazni, killing all the crew. And Turkey called off the rescue operations on Monday in eastern areas hit by Friday's earthquake, after emergency workers recovered the body of a final missing person from a collapsed building, bringing the death toll to 41. The magnitude 6.8 earthquake that struck Friday night also injured more than 1,600 others, Turkish authorities reported. At least 45 survivors were pulled out from under the debris. Emergency workers gathered in a circle near the rubble to pray for the victims before the search and rescue mission was formally called off. And at least 26 people have been killed and 15 are reported missing in Madagascar after a week of heavy rainfall. The rains have caused severe flooding, leaving thousands homeless and roads destroyed. Prime Minister Christian Enzai declared the floods a national disaster. The country is in the midst of an intense 6-month rainy season that often results in casualties and widespread damage.
I'm begging you to help us. Everything we have has been destroyed. Even our house has been destroyed. A house made of bricks and which we only recently built. On the other side, it's totally destroyed. The bricks are broken. We are begging you. Come and help us.
And coming up, Chinese authorities have announced the first fatal victim of the new coronavirus in Beijing. Don't go away. Welcome back. Chinese authorities announced on Monday the first fatal victim of the new coronavirus in Beijing, while the death toll has risen to 106. The latest victim, a male aged 50 who had recently returned from Wuhan, passed away on Monday in the Chinese capital. There are now close to 3,000 confirmed cases in China, while overseas 7 cases have been reported in Thailand, 5 in Australia and Singapore, 3 in Japan, 3 in the United States, and Sri Lanka also confirmed its first coronavirus case today. Meanwhile, French Director General for Health, Jérôme Solomon, told reporters that there are still 3 confirmed cases in the country. Solomon also explained that the coronavirus is much less deadly than the SARS virus of 2003. And our correspondent in China, Iramsi Parasa, offers us more information on the moves to tackle the coronavirus.
The Ministry of Finance of the People's Republic of China allocated 1,000 yuan or $144 million to a special fund to help Hubei province. Let's recall that Hubei is the most affected province so far and where most fatal victims have been reported. In other matters, what have Chinese scientists had to say? Until now, they have confirmed that this new coronavirus can be transmitted person to person through respiratory droplets. However, they have struggled to identify the specific carrier of the virus due to the high mutation potential of the disease and its broad adaptability. Scientists have also determined that this coronavirus is 80% similar to the one that started the severe acute respiratory syndrome known as SARS that emerged in 2003 in the Asian continent and caused the death of more than 700 people, which has caused a considerable rise in alarm here in China. The Chinese scientific community is urgently working to determine the exact carrier agent of the new coronavirus. It has been said that the virus is linked to wild animals that were illegally sold in a Wuhan market, but specific animals such as bats, rats, snakes, and foxes are now being considered. In addition, we must also mention that the World Health Organization has said that it is too early to declare the China coronavirus a global emergency and that it is awaiting further information before deciding whether to adopt such a decision. Neighboring countries of China have increased security measures, especially those that have already reported cases of the coronavirus. Vietnam, Thailand, Japan, and South Korea, which have strengthened security at entrance points to prevent the spread of the virus. This is all the information we have for now. We will continue to update you with further details.
And the Chinese government has announced an extension to the New Year holiday until February 2nd in an effort to curb the spread of the coronavirus.
The novel coronavirus infection is a kind of respiratory infectious disease, and its main means of transmission is close-range contact. So, reducing travel and gatherings is the most effective way to cut off the means of transmission. As such, we have decided to extend the holiday and encourage people to stay at home, not to hang out, not to go to the epidemic areas, not to go to public places, and reduce the frequencies to public places and places where people usually gather, so as to reduce the risk of transmission. Therefore, residents and other people should follow the advice by the government, stay at home, reduce travel, and don't go to crowded places.
And new evidence came to light during the impeachment trial against US President Donald Trump by means of an unpublished manuscript written by former National Security Advisor John Bolton. It was revealed that Trump had told his then National Security Advisor in August that he wanted to continue freezing $391 million in security aid to Ukraine until officials there helped with investigations into Democrats, including presidential rival Joe Biden, according to a Sunday report by the New York Times. The revelations, which support the charges of abuse of power against Trump, were found in a draft manuscript for a book by Bolton, which also gathers testimonies that the former National Security Advisor could reveal during the impeachment trial. And US basketball legend Kobe Bryant and his 13-year-old daughter died in a helicopter crash on Sunday. Fans of Bryant gathered in Los Angeles to pay tribute to their idol. Bryant, his daughter Gianna, and 7 other passengers and crew were aboard the helicopter when it crashed into a rugged hillside in Calabasas, west of Los Angeles. 41-year-old Bryant was a 5-time NBA champion with a career that began in 1996 and lasted until his retirement in 2016. He was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist, helping the US team to win titles at the Beijing and London Olympic Games. And we're taking one last break, but stay with us for the preliminary results of the Peruvian parliamentary elections held yesterday. Don't go away. Welcome back. Preliminary results of the Peruvian parliamentary elections held yesterday revealed that the Popular Action Party, as expected, secured a majority in Congress, receiving 10.1% of votes counted. The election marked the fall of the Fujimori's Popular Force Party, which lost its majority obtained in 2016 after losing at least 20 seats. 25 million citizens elected 130 new parliamentarians from among more than 2,000 candidates from 21 political parties on Sunday. And Bolivia's de facto president, Janine Áñez, has requested the resignation of all of her ministers, according to a statement from the presidential secretariat. Áñez decided to request the resignations in order to approach this new stage in the management of the democratic transition, according to the statement. The news came just hours after Communications Minister Roxana Lizarraga resigned in protest at Áñez's decision to stand as a presidential candidate in the May 3rd election. Áñez is set to seek to fill the 20 positions as soon as possible to maintain continuity ahead of the May elections. And Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel rejected the pretext offered by Bolivia's de facto government to cut diplomatic ties with Cuba. Díaz-Canel voiced categorical condemnation of the lies, misrepresentations and unfounded accusations of the coup-mongering Bolivian government. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Cuba strongly rejected the allegations made by Áñez's cabinet that the Cuban government has systematically sought to damage bilateral relations. And the president of Bolivia's movement towards socialism, Evo Morales, offered statements about the electoral campaign.
And I want to take this opportunity to warn the Bolivian people on the dictatorship of Áñez. They believe they are a transitional government, but for us this is a coup and a dictatorship. If it were a transitional government, there would be no need to change the economic model. But they are beginning privatizations. So, it is not a transitional government. In 2005, we had a transitional government, led by Dr. Eduardo Rodríguez Merced, with the task of organizing elections and for the winners to form another government. And we were the winners.
And Luis Arce, the presidential candidate for the movement towards socialism, announced his return to Bolivia to join the electoral campaign. Speaking during a news conference in Buenos Aires, Arce questioned the decision of de facto president of Bolivia, Janine Áñez, to stand in the general elections on May 3rd. He stressed that the right to run while holding public office was reserved for those who have been democratically elected.
The guarantees to undertake a completely transparent electoral process, as the Bolivian people deserve, are not in place. Thus, we reiterate that the conditions are not the best to undertake an electoral campaign, but we are going to participate, we are going to be present, because it is the only option our Bolivian people have to express themselves on voting.
And Antigua and Barbuda has announced a $629 million budget for 2020. Prime Minister Gaston Brown, who is also Finance Minister, presented the budget, which is $111 million more than that of 2019. The Ministry of Education received the largest allocation at $56 million, while the Ministry of Health received the second largest amount at $48 million. And Chilean students mobilized to reject the university selection test conducted on Monday under a strong security presence. 41 students were arrested during the protests, according to Chilean police reports. High school and university students who have expressed their opposition to the repetitive and controversial test, claiming it is part of the system of profit and segregation in Chilean education, gathered in various points of Santiago de Chile as the test began. The Department of Evaluation, Measurement and Educational Registry indicated that the university selection test was being conducted under police protection to avoid any interruptions. A group of young people deployed a huge banner at the Plaza Ingana metro station against the test, where they staged a rally this morning, which temporarily disrupted transport services until the police intervened. And in Bolivia, every year, the number of people who visit the Alacita fair increases. According to tradition, fairgoers can buy miniature representations of what they want to achieve in the rest of the year.
The Alacita Fair, which in Aymara means buy me, was born in peace, and every year it summons crowds to buy in miniature what every person dreams of having throughout the year.
It's a tradition and custom that we Bolivians believe in, so we bought a miniature house, so in the future we will have a real house.
Always buy without faith, with all the will of the Lord, as so it will come true, a house, a car, so it will happen this year.
At the Dream Fair, you can get almost everything: land, building materials, houses, vehicles, plane tickets, bank accounts, cash, health certificate, driver's license, food, personal titles, marriage certificate, and divorce certificate. Almost everything.
It works if one has faith that it will. Everything done with faith and love happens.
I always tell them that one must have faith in the God of Fortune, in the Virgin of Orcupiña, and in the Pachamama. That if we go to buy with faith, they will grant us all the desires of the heart.
When my mom gave me a little suitcase, she told that the little suitcase was so I could travel. And one day I traveled to Chile all by myself, so it works.
There is no square or church atrium in the city of La Paz without miniatures. After people buy the wish, they have it blessed by the priest and the Aymara priest, a ceremony known as chala. Here, nothing is left to chance.
With a lot of faith, I got a grade diploma and a master's degree diploma.
Those who have faith have all their desires fulfilled. Those who do not have it, nobody forces them, but faith moves mountains.
Now, the main character of the fair is the Ekeko, who is known as the god of abundance. But the origin of the tradition is lost in time. Long before Spanish colonialism, there was Illa, a representation of the goddess of earth fertility, of the Pucara culture, which dates back 200 years before the Christian era, found in the ceremonial center of Tiwanaku.
And finally, hundreds of torches will light Cuban streets tonight as thousands of people pay tribute across the island to national hero Jose Marti. In the Cuban capital, as well as in the main cities of the country, student and youth movements, alongside the Cuban people, will attend the torchlit march set to start at 10 p.m. local time. The march marks the 167th anniversary of the birth of Jose Marti, who Fidel Castro described as the most universal of Cubans. And from today, Telesur English starts broadcasting from Havana, Cuba. As we approach the 15th anniversary of this Latin American multimedia platform, we will continue to spread the voice of the South, the truth of our peoples, and from now on, also from the Cuban capital. The president of Telesur, Patricia Villegas, announced the inauguration of the headquarters of Telesur English in Havana on Twitter, sharing photos of the team and the visit by Cuban President Miguel Díaz-Canel. And we've come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many more stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Katrina Goss. Thank you for watching.